Yeah, baby. How are you, beautiful Shannon? How are you, ladies? I hope you're doing magnificent. And today is a magical, magical Saturday for you. I want to say it is 10/10/20, and
Mm.
the synchronicity of today is just, So I am so happy you're here. You're taking the time to be here with us today. And thank you so, so very much for coming here and being live and being on replay, all the things. Amanda's popping on. And before we begin, I want to have a little dance off, right? A little song. Remember, every single day we've been doing some music, some dances, and just everyone's just high beat. So let's just. And dance, ladies.
This one, like, it starts kind of slow and then you get really into
Yep,
it.
yep, yep. I'm getting into it. Wait. Yeah, ladies. Get into it. Get into the rhythm of it. It's happening. It's happening.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, baby. Hey, yeah, ladies. Amazing. I'm so happy you are here. So let me introduce you, Shannon, the beautiful
Mm-hmm.
Shannon. Where did I meet Shannon? I'm going to tell you all the things. So Shannon is an empowerment coach for women and teens she guides women around the world into deep self-love, unwavering self-trust, and awakened personal power. Through one-on-one mentorship, global coaching programs, live workshops, and her podcast, Unmasked and Open Hearted, she supports women through the mental and emotional barriers blocking them from connecting with their bodies, hearing the whispers of their souls, and believing in themselves and dreams fully. That just
Mm.
sounds so magical and so amazing. And I know you have it. Oh no, I forgot my water. P.S. It's in the bathroom. Oh well. Okay. Sorry. I was just like, darn it. But as you're talking, I'll probably just go over there and get it for a second. Sorry about that. I was just like, I saw you drinking your water. So I was like, oh wait, where's
Mm-hmm.
mine?
Always. Mm-hmm.
So back to it. So where did I meet Shannon? So I actually met Shannon through another one of my mentors, so Amy Allchurch, and I can't even remember how, but I like got really into your page or like your name, and I was like, who is she? And I went in and I was like, wait a minute, she also did the same course as I did. So she's
Mm-hmm.
also a functional nutritional therapy practitioner, which is a very long name, but it's so amazing to have all of these different women all around the country do the same thing or be in the same program that I was in. So I was like, oh, I need to speak to her. And she goes into human design. She goes into like really loving our bodies. And it's just so magical. It's such a breath of fresh air to have Shannon around. So thank you so much, Shannon, for saying yes and for coming on live with us. Everyone's popping on, saying hello. And we are ready. Go ahead and dive deep with us.
Well, thank you, Melissa. Thank you so much for hosting this, having me. I've been excited about it all week. And yeah, I love the synchronicities where, we're connected and we both went through the Nutritional Therapy Association and now have like been integrating that, but really evolving into like empowering women from the inside out in all of these really beautiful ways. And I feel we're both so aligned. We're both MGs. I just love everything about it. But yeah, so I am Shannon Keating, and similar to what Melissa said, the intro, everything I do, it centers upon empowering women, teens, girls from the inside out, because I really do feel as though just every single woman is here with such beautiful gifts, such beautiful wisdom, such a beautiful, like powerful story, maybe pain involved in that story, trauma involved in that story, heartbreak involved in that story, insecurities involved in that story. And it's just so my belief that even though we have all of these parts of ourselves that we're judging and saying are wrong or saying are too much or not enough, none of that is our truth. And when we're able to work with those parts, like work with the fear, work with the emotions, work with the inner critic, and navigate those realms, we're also able to like strengthen this resiliency within ourselves and strengthen this personal power within ourselves. And then I just feel like the world is going to be so much better off when we have women connect to themselves, loving themselves, and just like spreading their magic. And whatever that magic is, like as long as it feels aligned for you and it excites you and it feels like it's driven by your soul, like that is what our world needs. And so we just need women like trusting that, rocking that, flowing with that, and like giving it to themselves first and then spreading it to our world second.
That feels so yummy and so good. And I agree 1,000% because the more we are in our power, the more we listen to ourselves, the more then we can spread it out, right? And it's really about us first, and then boom, it follows. And it's
Mm-hmm.
like so beautiful and so amazing to even just have this conversation because I like for example, like in my life, I never knew, right? We never knew this. It was just like, oh, we're conditioned and we're conditioned to be here and all do these things, but and we're conditioned to not really express ourselves and we're conditioned
Mm-hmm.
to all of these things and coming back home, it just feels so good to be able to express us fully.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And that's what I really wanted to focus on today is this concept of like expressing ourselves. I also want to talk about emotions and power and personal power and how we actually really have to dive into the realm of emotions in order to reawaken that power. Like they're not separate at all. And I feel as though when women feel they're too much, right? Or too sensitive or too emotional, or sadness comes up and it's like, nope, not feeling that. Or anger comes up, it's like, oh, no, I can't be angry. I have to be happy all the time. It's literally just like clouding energetically and weighing on our personal power and our sense of truly letting like our power and our light come through, because everything else is just stacking on top of it, dimming it, toning ourselves down, keeping us small, keeping us stuck in these patterns. So I do feel like self-expression, expressing your emotions, expressing your voice, clearing anything that's heavy out of your body is going to help you reawaken this like kind of power within you that you want to channel into, you know, whether it's you want to start an Etsy page, or you want to write a blog, or you want to start a business, or you want to have a podcast, or, you know, you want to do personal training and health coaching, like whatever it is, you get to then fuel your power into that versus being fueled from your insecurities or your not enoughness, if that makes sense.
Oh, yes, yes, yes. I love that so, so much. And it's like so, so powerful that you just said that because we have been, this is again, this is something we've been talking about all week long in this summit. And it's really about really bringing us closer to ourselves where we really feel powerful, where we really feel that it's coming from the heart, right? Like our emotions, like who we are, it's coming from our heart instead of being like insecure, instead of feeling insecure. Like, how are we going to be able to show up? We can't, right? And we've seen it and we see it everywhere that there's no possible way we can really truly show up as ourselves if we're afraid, if we are insecure.
Totally, totally, totally. Absolutely. And so what I really wanted to kind of bring, and Melissa, I might have you kind of workshop with me. Do you have like a journal and pen with you by any chance?
Do, of course I do.
Duh, always.
Melissa, the Melissa here. I have my handy dandy
Oh,
gel pens.
beautiful. Okay,
My
so
handy dandy
beautiful.
gel pen.
I love
And then
that.
everyone that's on as well, if you have a piece of paper, pen,
Hmm.
anything, let's do it.
Yes. Okay. So I want to basically talk about kind of like four categories of emotion that I see. Actually, we'll do five. Um, but I want to talk about five categories of emotions that I see a lot of women kind of facing, coming, you know, into in their life or experiencing. And so my belief, first and foremost, before we like dive into the different emotions, is that, and this is like my truth and what I know to be true based on my own experiences, is that every single emotion is energetic, right? It all has a vibration, it all has a frequency to it. So when we're talking about like gratitude and high vibe and these songs, right, that you're getting us started with, like it feels good, it feels light, it gets things moving because the vibration, like the high vibe, it literally, the frequency is higher vibrational. And as energetic beings, we feel that in our body and it feels good to us. But what we do is we're like, only high vibe, only high vibe, only high vibe. Anything else? No, that's not good. I'm bad. It doesn't belong in my experience. Am I going to be able to manifest if like I'm sad today? And it's like, yes, of course you are, because that emotion isn't you. It's something you're experiencing. It's an energy you're experiencing. So what we want to do is we want to work with the emotions as they come up. And I find that there's like 5 different categories of emotions that women tend to feel more uncomfortable with. It's like, oh, fear, that scares me. I want to stay in my comfort zone. Or sadness, loneliness. That means like I'm a loser. I don't belong. I don't have friends. I'm not confident. Or anger's scary. What if people, abandon me or judge me or leave me? If I'm angry, will people not think I'm also loving? I can't be angry and loving simultaneously. Or shame, right? Like shame, I want to be seen, but like I cannot be seen. Or what if I speak my truth and someone judges me? Or I should be ashamed of who I am, therefore I should be ashamed of my body. I'm sure you experience this a lot, Melissa, with the body image work of like, my body is too fat, or it's not enough, or I have stretch marks, or I have all this stuff and I need to be ashamed of myself. And then I need to wear more clothes and pack on more layers and stay smaller and not use my voice and dim down because of this shame that's
Yeah.
spiraling. So these emotions, I really want to just like emphasize, they're not bad. They are energies. And we want to work with each of these energies in a different way in order to move, shift, release the energy, and then tap into our center, tap into our power, and move forward with embodying those higher vibrations. But it doesn't mean we just disregard, right, the sadness or anger, loneliness or shame when it comes up. We just work with it and we express it and we release it. And then we get to feel lighter and high vibe. But it also doesn't mean if you're having like a day where you feel shameful or lonely that you're not going to manifest like money or success or anything like that. That is just not true, because that automatically disempowers us and says, oh, I am shame. I am fear. I am sadness. Not, no, I'm like really powerful and really safe right now, but I'm feeling a lot of shame. Right? So it's more
Oh,
just like the emotion is what I'm feeling. So recapping that, emotions are energies. They all have a different vibration to them. None of them are bad. They're literally just energy, uncomfortable energy. That's what I teach my clients. Like, it is literally uncomfortable energy. That is all it is. That is literally all it is. And you can feel that and you can be okay. And it's not you. So that's the last thing is, it's not you. You are not the shame. You are not your fear. You are not your inner critic. You are not loneliness. You are not depression. You are not anxiety. You are feeling that. You are experiencing that energy, that emotion within your body right now in this present moment, right? Or tomorrow or the next day.
yes, I love that so much because this is the biggest thing. It's like, oh, am I supposed to be like when you start learning about personal development or like just getting closer to yourself, right? Into your power, it's like, oh, I'm supposed to be happy all the time, or I'm supposed to be happy about my weight all the time, or am I supposed to be like in love with myself all the time? And it's like, no, because that's not true and that's not human, right? And I love that you said that because it's like like ebbs and flows, right? You're gonna be high and you're gonna feel good, you feel energetic, you're like, oh, I love myself. And then there's some days like, oh well, I'm feeling this, but it doesn't mean that you are. So what a beautiful, beautiful way to say this, because this is something that I've even struggled in the past. And now I understand that it's not who I am, but it's what I feel, right? So let's say, for example, yesterday I was feeling shame come up. So I was talking to myself and I was like, okay, I'm feeling shame. I'm feeling selfish right now. There was something that happened and I was like, I'm feeling so selfish, but I'm not selfish. I'm feeling this and I'm going to talk about it. So I talked to myself about it out loud. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to release it. And I released it by screaming. I was like, I'm not selfish. I'm like, I'm kind, I'm good, like, and all of that, because that's the change. And so beautiful that you're talking about this. Thank you.
Absolutely. And just speaking to that, growing up, we all get fed messages, right? And this isn't to put any blame, right? When we're doing like inner child healing work, which I do guide women through a lot of, and we're looking at our past and looking at what we soaked up from society or our parents, mothers, fathers, grandparents, generational things, etc. There will be a point, I do find, in my own experience and a lot of women's experiences, where we do have to kind of be pissed and angry and resentful, but we want to quickly shift out of that and feel those emotions and then move into, oh, okay, whatever, maybe you were told you're selfish, right? So when you were younger, you were like, I'm selfish, identifying, I'm selfish if I do X, Y, and Z, if I don't share with everyone, if I want things for myself, like whatever, whatever happened when you were younger, right? And now in adulthood, it's like automatically, I'm selfish, right? I'm selfish. Oh my gosh, I'm selfish. But now you have the awareness to be like, no, I'm not selfish. I am X, Y, and Z. This is my truth that I know and I'm claiming and I'm owning, feeling selfishness. And I'm going to release that. I'm going to work with it. I'm going to come back into my truth, my truth, my truth, that I actually also get to choose for myself and I get to embody and I get to believe today, tomorrow, the next day. And as long as that truth still resonates with me, it still gets to be my truth. So
so good. Like I was doing your quotes and this is so amazing. I just want to say that again. That was so magical. Like this is my truth and I get to choose, embody, and believe my truth. And I get to be my truth, right? What I choose to believe, what I want to believe, what I desire, what I have here, this is who I am. And it's like, yes, 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 yes.
Mm-hmm. So what I do like taking women through and just highlighting before we dive into the different energies and how to like work through them. And this is where I do want women to take notes. But the first thing is just really starting to get clear on, all right, what identities or what stories or what things were, what messages was I fed when I was younger that involved emotions, right? And then we can kind of just dive in. So for example, I'll just give some examples of my own. You're too much. Tone it down. You should be ashamed of yourself, Shannon. What's wrong with you, Shannon? You're too sensitive. You can't watch X, Y, and Z, this TV show or this. We can't take you places if you're going to react this way, if you're going to behave this way. You're embarrassing me. Keep it together. Make sure you're dressing appropriately, right? So we can just imagine like all of those messages are like shame, fear, you're not enough. So a lot of the emotional patterns that I grew up developing were, okay, be a good person, keep everyone happy, don't affect others by your energy, don't be too much, don't be too big, don't be too expressive, don't show your emotions in public. Emotions aren't safe, sensitivity isn't safe, it's actually a weakness. People shame you when you're sensitive, right? So just all of these connotations that can really just disconnect us with how we're really meant to express ourselves. This is where I also love coming back into human design and being like, oh, shoot, this is my energy. Like, this is what I have going on in my energetics in my chart. I know we've talked about human design this week, so hopefully women are familiar. And you're like, oh, that's my true self. Oh, I'm not, for example, for me, I'm not letting myself be a wild MG because I'm always trying to tone it down and like, literally keep everyone happy. And I grew up surrounded by generators, find your niche, find your passion. You're good at this, do it for 20 years. And I was like, but I want to do it for one and then I want to change. So
I feel that.
Right?
I feel that so much. Yes, yes. And as you're saying this, I actually wrote a couple of things, and I know you were like interactive. So let's be interactive. My MG self wants to be interactive.
Yeah.
Ladies, as you learn more about human design, it really is like coming home to you because you really feel like, oh, I don't have to dim my light anymore. And it's so cool because I'm also myself. I'm a MG. And I'm very like a Manny Jen, and I'm very like, oh, I love this so much. And then I'm like, okay, well, I want to dip my toes over there and dip my toes over there. And now I understand that it's okay, right? Because I had the same thing as I grew up. I actually wrote a couple of things, but one of the things that I grew up with, it's like, oh, what are you going to be? You're going to be that, and that's it. Like, you're going to be stuck in a box. like, you're going to do psychology. Oh, okay, you do psychology and that's it. And I was like, no, but I want to also do criminal justice. And I was like, so what are you going to be? And I was like, I don't know. And like, it was like, kind of that sense. And then now I really know that my passion is in health and wellness, but I still bring the psychology in, right? And my criminal justice mind is still in here as well. Like, but I get to have and love all these things, and there's nothing wrong with me, right? And I, for a while, I was like, what's wrong with me? Like, I can't find my purpose. But now I know that it's so many different things. So bringing it back to human design is very powerful. But going back to with your what you were saying about what messages that we were fed, like when we were younger, a couple of messages was that I used to dress too scandalous, and it was because of the way my body developed. So I developed a lot quicker than a lot of girls. And my mom, her being Catholic and everything, and not just my mom, but it was also older. They were like, you can't dress like that. People are going to look at you. Guys are going to look at you. You're going to get the wrong impression on them. And I was like, but this is what I want to. Like, what's wrong? Right. So I felt like there was something wrong. So, of course, layered. And I wanted to change my body because I believed there was something wrong. And I was like, but what do you mean, right? That was one of them. And it's like, you're dressing too scandalous, you're too sexual.
Mm.
That was another thing that I had when I was younger. And like, don't tell everything to everyone. So I really like to talk about my emotions, and I really like to talk about my story, right? Or my stories, like different stories. And it was like, oh, you can't say that aloud, or you can't say that to people. And that was something that I went through as I grew, as I got older. And it was like, oh no, you have to be like, you should be this way. And I was like, but I don't want to. Or you should sit down this way. And I was like, but I don't want to, right? And it's like that feeling. So I dimmed my light for a long time because I believed that it was like that. And that's how I would show up as well online, because I was like, oh, this is how I should be. So this is how I should come out. And that's not the truth, ladies.
Thank you for diving in and sharing all of that. And like I do know, just following you and seeing your content, like the things that, and this is what I want women to realize too, like the things that you're dimming down are the things that are the most powerful about you oftentimes. So when we go into reawakening your power, for you, Melissa, like sharing your stories is so powerful. Women are like, oh my gosh, I feel seen inside of your story right now. And oh, wait, I can actually love my body and wear this beautiful dress and like dance on like, like the little boomerangs and have fun with my like sexuality and my beauty and my shape. And it doesn't have to be all about losing more weight. Like, let that be natural. Let that be a lifestyle. Like, it's just so beautiful because I do find that parallel with, oh, you were told to dim down these stories and dim down your body and your sexuality. And now those are really powerful in how you lead your business and what like draws women to you in such a powerful way.
Thank you so much. And that means so much to me because it's been very scary. And I'm being really honest with you, ladies. Like, I really, really, truly believe 100,000% that when I became pregnant and I actually had my son, it was a complete rebirth for me. It was a complete, and that doesn't happen to every single woman, right? But I came home to me. It was like, oh, you're a mom, but it, apart from being a mom, it's like I came home to myself. And that was the really big impactful thing. And the more and more you see it, you see some pictures now, if you are friends with me on Facebook, you see pictures of me, and they're like these dresses that are like loud, and they're like, they have colors, and it's because I want to not just be, but I want to be seen by me, right? So like so when I look at me, I'm like, I feel so good. And then that energy vibrates out. So thank you so much, because I dimmed my light for a really long
Mm. Yeah, thank you for sharing that too, because this is just, it is that ripple effect for other women of, it's not always about, I think we also have these connotations with like being self-centered, being full of ourselves, and we think it's bad. No, it's not. It's necessary. Like I want women to be obsessed with themselves. Like I get to be obsessed with myself, obsessed with my clients. I want them to be obsessed with themselves. I want all women to literally be obsessed with themselves, because just because you're obsessed with yourself doesn't mean I can't be obsessed with myself. Doesn't mean another woman can't be obsessed with themselves. So we all get to be obsessed with ourselves. We all get to shine there's no scarcity of this like beauty and this radiance that gets to be projected out into the world. We need more of it. So I think it's just like, okay, see how Melissa's presenting herself, see how I'm presenting myself, because it's scary for me too. Like doing videos in a sports bra, like showing my body and dancing. Like I remember talking about Amy, my mentor, like after I remember sharing one video on social media, I was terrified. I was like, Amy, oh my God, I just did this thing and I'm like freaking out. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And then like 10 minutes later, I see all this feedback and these comments from women being like, thank you. Oh my God. Oh my God. I'm like, okay, I think it's going well. I think it's going well. I think it's going well, but I'm freaking out. Like just my family members are going to see this. Like my ex-boyfriends are going to see this. Like who else is going to see this? And it's like, this is not how I've been showing up, but this feels so much like me. And like, we all have to go through these processes. So just me and Melissa kind of like opening, you know, the curtains to all of it. It's scary, but it's so worth it.
So worth it. It's so worth it, ladies. And I love that you're saying this because I remember that video. And I rewatched it and I was like, okay, okay, okay. And that's something that I've done, but I haven't fully embraced because I do have that's something that I'm really working on. So I love that you're talking about this because it's something that I've been working on. I look as like very different than I looked prior to baby,
Mm,
and now it's like, oh, I wear like the high waisted leggings just because I
mm,
feel more comfortable. But it's like in that sense too, like I am not coming home fully to my body as I'm still
mm.
working on embracing my tummy.
Yeah, absolutely. And just speaking about my experience with that, for me, it was a lot of judgment around. I went through a breakup 2 years ago. And since that breakup, so this kind of just let's go into like some body image shame a little bit. Why not? Because like we all need to be always working through this. But in that relationship, he was like CrossFit, Mr. Fit, had muscles literally everywhere, like Adonis body. And I was always like, well, shoot. Like, I need to kind of keep up with this. And I love fitness. Like, I'm similar to you. Like, I love it. It expresses my energy. I think it's so healthy. I like connect to myself. I move energy. I move emotions. I love everything about it. But when we ended that relationship, he spiraled into more control, more exercise, more diets. Like he just like made himself more Adonis. And I was like, how the F can you do that? But he
Yeah.
did. And I leaned back and I like felt the heartbreak and I stopped exercising and I had like insomnia and like I just like had to really surrender, really let my body change and really just be like, you have to trust this right now, Shannon. And you have to just like literally like my best self was getting outside, getting sun on my skin, like going on a like long, slow walk around the park, re-regulating my circadian rhythms, my hormones. I lost my period and I gained weight. Like I gained probably 10 to 20 pounds and it just like, it happens. Right. And then 6 months, a year goes down and I was like, oh my gosh, I've gained weight. He's gotten more Adonis. I'm bad. I don't want
Mm.
him to see me this way, right? Because I think we like end these relationships. We're like, okay, I need to be fit and sexy and like make him want me back. And I like did the opposite of that because like I needed to. And it was like the most loving thing for me at the time. And having had like an eating disorder in the past, I was like, I'm not going to do what he's doing right now, even though like ego wants me to. I'm just going to surrender to this and like love myself and take care of myself. But it was that like sharing these videos and sharing myself now for me, it was really like, I can own my body right now and she's beautiful. And like, she tells a really miraculous, like heart healing story and like everything I've been through and extra 10 to 20 pounds, like that has nothing to do with like me and my radiance and my worth. But there was the ego getting in the way of like, well, what if he sees this and he realizes you gained weight and like he didn't gain weight, he got more shredded. And it's like that story that's going to like prevent me from supporting women where I'm like, I'm not trying to support my ex-boyfriend. I'm trying to support like women here. And so I think we do have to kind of tune into like when we're sharing these messages and becoming ourselves, we're doing it for ourselves first and foremost, which we've shared.
Yes.
But
Mm.
also it's like the women who are on this journey with us, like the soulmate clients, the women who are here unraveling, stepping into their power, letting go of insecurities, like that is who it's for. So when I like tune into that, I'm like, these women love me with 20 extra pounds. They don't care. And I need to love me too. So just speaking more to that as well.
Yes, and that's so powerful, right? And like that's the thing about like, oh, loving ourselves. It's a journey, right? So it's like, oh, you just don't wake up and be like, hey, I'm gonna love me today. Like it just like, and I'm fully love in love with me. It like it is a journey. And of course there's gonna be maybe body parts of you or parts of you. It's okay. It's there's maybe parts of you that you feel that like, okay, there's still work to do here, but it doesn't mean I can't fully love me. There's just something I'm working on, right? And that's something that it's really key here, ladies, because this is not perfect and you're not perfect because you're beautifully created, right? So it's not about perfection and being perfect because no one even understands what that is because it doesn't exist,
Mm-mm.
right? So when we have this and we are talking about this, it's like the feeling of like, oh, I get to come home, and it's like your whole like energy, your aura is like, oh yes, and it's like a whole relaxing full body yes of like I can love who I am and love the process, love the journey, and still want more. And it feels so good to have all these parts here.
Absolutely. And I think that's kind of speaking to the emotions too around like not, it's like we are still worthy, we're still enough, we're still amazing as we are. And exactly, it's like instead of what I see, and you probably see this with a lot of women and work through it, instead of like avoiding our bodies and especially the areas that we're judging, stomach, thighs, arms, cellulite, breasts, whatever it is, instead of just avoiding that and being like, okay, I can't look at that because that's bad and that doesn't get to be part of like me being confident. So me being confident is like, let's hide that and then just project confidence. It's not clean confidence. It's not authentic confidence unless you're like, okay, yeah, I'm like working on loving my stomach right now. And that gets to be part of my experience and I get to bring it into this confidence. Then that's like pure, clean, true, authentic confidence because you're not putting away a part of yourself.
Oh, I love that. You're not putting away a part of yourself. And that's so key and important. Yes, that feels so good. That feels so good.
Yay. Okay, let's move into the emotions. So get your journal out, and we're going to go through just like 5 categories of emotions and how to move through them. Because again, like I've talked about in many ways so far, these emotions are going to come up. They are just going to come up, and we have to learn how to work with them. We have to learn how to release, move the energies, not just like suppress, avoid, repress. So first one is fear. And fear is, it's so funny. I had a conversation, she might be watching this, but I had a conversation with one of the women in one of my programs earlier today. I had a conversation with another woman earlier today, clients this week. Like fear has just been like theming in my space right now. But fear is an energy that we have to learn to work with. We are not ever going to be fearless, ever. The people, the women who you look up to, right? We've all got like those role models, the people that were like, wow, they've like created amazing lives, relationships, careers, success, impact in this world, confidence, health, wellness, radiance. And they're kind of like there, right? Wherever there is. But for you, it's like, I want to be there, right? They have learned to work with their fear. They're not fearless at all. Fear always comes up. And when fear is going to come up is fear is going to come up when either we are literally taking a step out of our comfort zone or we're contemplating taking a step outside of our comfort zone. Fear is going to come up because it's outside of our comfort zone. It's unknown. It's uncertain. It's not predictable. Therefore, fear comes up to be like, whoop, where you are right now is very cozy and very safe and you're very protected. So let's stay here, right here, right here, right here, right here. Fear is fueled by the ego, right? Ego is just like, I'm going to keep you protected. And anything more than this, even if it's like success, money, love, that's great. To the ego and to your fear, it's like, no, it's not. It's unknown. It's not comfortable. It's not what you have right now. Therefore, it's not comfortable. So we have to realize anytime we're up leveling, we're thinking about up leveling, we are taking a step outside of our comfort zone. We're constantly taking steps outside of our comfort zone. We're showing up in new ways. We're thinking about showing up in new ways. fear is going to come up. Always. So Melissa, I want you to share, when your fears come up, like, what does it feel like, and what are your big ones that struggle for you?
Mm. Do you want me to just say it out loud or write it?
Say it out loud.
Okay. So before writing it, okay. So if I close my eyes and I think of fear and like, what do I feel like the visceral feeling? I feel like I feel it in my throat right away. I feel it in the pit of my stomach, and I'm like, oh my God, this is like, I just right away, it's like, oh, it's scary, it's scary, it's scary. And what I always have done in the past is kind of just retrieved, right? I've taken a step back and I'm like, I'm not gonna do that, or that doesn't. Oh my gosh, what if, what if, what if? But in the negative, right, moments, so all the negative things is like I say that to myself. Um, every time it comes up, it's just like, oh man, this is so scary. It feels so scary. It feels like I have chills. It feels like it doesn't feel good. And that, to me, I think that there's positive, like good fear, like, oh yeah, I could do this, or like the level up, right? What I call the level up to my ladies. And I'm like, you're gonna have that fear, but you gotta push through. And that's something that I really learned in the past 2 years in my life, of really like, okay, you're gonna have the fear, but you do it anyway. Like
Mm,
close your eyes and you go through it anyway. And it's like that fear again, that fear of showing my body, the fear of bringing myself out into this space, the fear of creating this summit. Like I was like, I don't know how many ladies are going to sign up. I don't know how many ladies are going to be in the summit. What if this doesn't work? But I close my eyes and now I believe, it's like, what if it does work?
mm,
And that is so powerful. And entrepreneurship is such a big like yay, and it's like whoa, and you go like into because the it's the fear, right, that's like
mm,
trying to bring you down. But I really have worked on that, so it still feels scary. It feels like, oh, I'm like scared to even say it out loud, but then I say it out loud and I'm like, I'm gonna do it anyway. And it's like that moment, it's like I'm gonna do it no matter what.
I love that. So beautiful. And so anyone else watching, really getting clear, like just like Melissa did, on like when we go into fear, what does it feel like in my body? And what are the stories associated? And like writing these down and getting really clear on them. And so then for you, Melissa, you can share these out loud, but anyone else can kind of like jot down what's coming up for them now or later. But for you with the stories, I know you said like, okay, I don't know how many women are going to join this, but what are the fear stories around like, I'm too much, or I'm not good enough, or those types of stories, that like the mental stories around fear that come up?
Yeah, so for me, if I close my eyes, it makes it so much easier to feel. So
Mm-hmm.
like that fear for me is always like the fear of not being liked. And
Mm-hmm.
that's something that was really huge for me when I was growing up. I was in foster care, and I speak about my story now because I want to empower other women. But one of my biggest things was like I wanted love, right? I desired love, and it was like I desired love from others. So I was like, please love me, right? So it was like it was like that fear of like, oh, if I show up fully as myself, will they like me?
Mm-hmm.
Will they even will I do you know what I mean? Like, will they say something good about me? Because that's the fear too. Like sometimes it's like not about even if they like me, it's just also the thought of like, well, they have something nice to say.
Mm-hmm.
And that was so big for me too, because I always was like the nice one. I always
Mm,
was the one that was like liked by everyone.
mm,
And I dimmed again myself a lot through my friendships because of that, because I wanted to just be the nice one, and I wouldn't speak my what I wanted to say and all of that. So those are my stories that come up every time. It's all about being liked because I didn't want to be alone. So the fear of not being
mm.
alone.
Yes, totally. Oh, I resonate so much. Thank you for sharing that. I just resonate so much. But yeah, so like the fear of rejection, the fear of abandonment, the fear of not being loved, the fear of being unlovable. So when we can get so clear, and this is what I like women to like look at it, don't run away. Yeah, yeah. So when you're looking at this exercise, don't run away from the fears. Don't feel like you can't look at them, feel like they're too much, because they're not. It's stories, it's energy, and we want to always be working it with it. We all want to always be dancing with it. So getting really clear, kind of like what Melissa and I just did, but okay, what are the emotions? What are the feelings behind it? What are the stories, the actual fears? And then what you've got to realize is like, they're just not true. They are just not true. And all that's trying to do is keep you safe, is keep you protected in your comfort zone. But that's not what your soul wants. Your soul wants growth. Your soul wants expansion. Like, our souls are here to learn lessons, to grow, to evolve, not to stay comfortable all the time. So once you get really clear, then it becomes, right, when you're about to step outside your comfort zone, okay, what fear is coming up for me? What are the emotions? Can I just like love myself right now in them? Feel the fear and do it anyway. Feel the fear, do it anyway. Feel the fear, do it anyway. And then experience the liberation afterwards. Because the liberation isn't coming until after you move, right? When we're like stuck in it, we're stuck in it. But once we move, once we shift, once we make a decision, once we show up, once we hit publish or post or whatever it is, then it's like, okay, I did that. And then stuff starts to flood in. And if not right, if right away you don't have the validation or any feedback back, give it to yourself. Celebrate, right? I know you're so much about celebration. Like, celebrate, be proud of yourself, put on a song, be like, oh my gosh, I did this thing that I was so scared of, but I did it and I'm still alive and I'm surviving and I'm growing through this. So that's a way to work through fear. Now, next, what I want to talk about is going to be shame and guilt. So next ones would be like, and really focusing on shame. Let's really focus on shame. They're kind of, they thread together, but let's focus on shame because that's a really big one. And we've talked a lot about body image, and body image is just like always tied to shame. It really is. And as women, unfortunately, we have ancestral shame. We have shame that was soaked up from generations, ancestors. We have shame that was just soaked up from society. We have shame where, we were younger and we said something, we got embarrassed, or we felt like we were chubby and we were embarrassed, right? So we have shame flooding in our systems all the time. And the shame is what's going to dampen your personal power, and it's going to make you not want to be seen. And it's going to make you want to be really safe. And so you're going to do certain things to like literally protect yourself and keep you safe and keep yourself like not seen, because seen is unsafe for someone who's like having shame come up. So when shame comes up, don't run away. Like, literally soften and lean in. And for you, Melissa, when shame comes up, can you share? And this is another one, like, just for me, I feel it a lot in my face, in my gut, but like a lot in my face. It's like redness, like embarrassment. But where do you feel like the shame when it comes up for you?
Yeah, so again, I close my eyes. So, but for me, I really feel it too in my face. My cheeks get so red. I feel it again in the sense of like I want to hide. It's just like this feeling of like hide right now, don't let anyone see you, right? Type of feeling. I feel it in my stomach. I feel it deep in my stomach, like, oh no, like that type of feeling, like, no, I can't believe this happened that way. And the stories that have been surrounding into shame have been like I was ashamed of getting breast really young. I was ashamed of growing too faster than other girls, like because of how different I looked, right? So for me, I was always ashamed of who I was physically. So what I wanted, I started changing my hair. I started changing my body, right? Because I was like, oh, if they can't love me the way I am, then they can love me if I can change myself. And that's how I did it for a really long time because I was ashamed of who I was. I was ashamed of my culture. I didn't want to speak Spanish. That was a huge one for me. My mom was like, no, you're going to speak Spanish. Because she's like, you cannot be ashamed of your culture. And I'm so grateful that she did that. And she brought me closer to home, right? Because that was a big one for me. It was a big one that I had a lot of shame towards my culture in the sense of like, oh, I'm here now in a new country. Like, why am I even speaking Spanish? And Spanish is not good in that aspect. Like for me, when I was growing up, and I, of course, you start seeing and hearing other things, sadly. especially the way my country's portrayed Colombia is a lot about drug dealing. It's a lot about that having has to do with like people that they might not be educated, and
Mm.
that's not true.
Yeah.
Every single one of my family members are educated. A lot of them went to university, and a lot of
Mhm.
them, and some of them didn't, but that doesn't matter. They're still educated. They still are respectful and respected in
Mm.
their communities. And that to me was a lot of shame all the time. So I would say
Mm.
like, "Oh, I'm from Colombia,"
Oh.
right? And it was very shameful for me in that aspect. So it goes with my body, right? Being ashamed of who I was, but it all goes back to like I was ashamed of really my roots.
Mm. Thank you so much for sharing that because I honestly don't have that experience. And so I just really love hearing about that and just like what it was like for you. And I'm sure there's a lot of women who can resonate with that. But for you, just out of curiosity, how have you not only like I know you've done a lot of work with your body, but with the like your roots and being from Colombia, what have you been doing lately to kind of embrace that and bring that out? I'm just curious.
Yeah. Yeah,
Interviewing
yeah,
you
yeah.
now.
Perfect. I love it. So what I've been doing on my own, this is something that I've been doing. I really, really right now miss Colombia like a lot, especially because we are not able to go
Mm,
right now. And I had in my mind what we're gonna do. I was gonna bring the baby. My family was gonna meet
mm,
him. My grandmother was not able
mm,
to meet him. She passed away before. She actually passed away like 6 months before I was pregnant. Um, so it's really dear and near to me to do that. But what I've done, it's like I call my family and I'm like, "Hey, how are you?"
mm.
We do video calls. We try to do video calls with the baby, and it's really
Oh.
funny because he's like, I don't know what's happening, and it's so cool because he'll just like stare at them, and he's like, it's really awesome. I do that, and actually also go like weekly to a Colombian restaurant because I really, really love our food. So I do that a lot with my mom, and I'm like, oh, I really want some beans, like a
Mm,
casserole bean. So good. A casserole bean, and it's just bean casserole with rice and deliciousness. And it's just like bringing
mm.
me closer to home, even though we're so far away.
Oh, I love that. Oh my gosh, thank you for sharing. Thank you so much for sharing. Because for me personally, I've always wished I had like, oh no, you're totally fine. I've always wished I've had like more culture. I'm like pretty white, like Irish Catholic, like pretty white. Grew up in like suburbs of Washington, D.C. And like for me, I've always been like, God, I want more culture in me. Like that's why I love traveling the world. I love learning about different cultures. I love like seeing people embody different cultures because it was something that I just never really had much of outside of like, Irish Catholic, but we weren't really embracing that or learning about that at all. So thanks for sharing.
Thank
Um,
you.
of course. And then kind of with shame, what I love and I also love that I asked Melissa like kind of what she's been doing is like when shame comes up. So first is like just lean into it. Like don't push it away because what we do is we say, shame is so heavy and I'm just going to like emotionally eat to get this to go away, or I'm just going to go on social media and I'm just going to numb out to get this to go away, or I'm just going to Netflix and chill, whatever the saying is, to like let this go away. But what that does is it doesn't go anywhere. It just puts it back in your body. It's going to come up again. It's going to come up again. It's going to come up again. So just like lean into it, surrender, know that it's safe. And I really love women just to be like, okay, it's uncomfortable energy. It's hot. It's red. What does it feel like? And just lean into it. I love just like play a song and just like move your body through it. That's really helpful. And then as soon as you've kind of shifted some of that shame, again, coming back into your center, claiming what your truth is, what the truth is that you want to embody, even if you don't believe this truth quite yet, right? Like, I am here to impact the world, or my voice has power, or I am a leader, or I am full of love. I attract love around me. Whatever the truth is that you're like, this is the truth I'm claiming. Maybe I don't fully believe it yet. I'm going to eventually fully believe it. Still tune back to it, right? So like anchor back into your truth, anchor back into your power. Then the magic is you've got to do something. Like if I were not ashamed, if I were not embarrassed, how would I show up? Right? So when
Mm,
it comes to like
yes.
culture, body image, using our voices, if I were not ashamed of this aspect of me, how would I show up?
Yes, I love that so much, so much.
Mhm.
Yes, in asking yourself these questions, and then again, it's been something we've talked about all week long about asking ourselves questions like really out loud, and then doing not just asking them, but then doing them, right? And like, how would I feel? How do I want to feel? Like, right? Like, I'm feeling shame right now. Why is it coming up? Right? But asking yourself the introspective questions to go inside.
Mhm. And then like literally doing one thing, right? So for you, it's like go to that Colombian restaurant, enjoy it, love it, like share it on social media, like do the thing, right? Or for me, it's like show up on social media in my sports bra and like just like this is what my body looks like right now. So it really is okay if I were not letting this spiral, like what is one step? Don't worry about everything you have to do.
Mhm.
One step that like I would be wearing a sports bra, right? So for me, like one little thing that I did when I was really working through body image a few years ago, and this is just like a constant thing, right? Working through body image as women, but like really, really working through like, okay, I need to like accept my body. I started to only exercise in sports bras. And that was literally so uncomfortable for me. I was like baggy t-shirt kind of girl. And I was like, nope, I'm going to take this baggy t-shirt off once I get sweaty and hot in a yoga class. And I'm just going to wear my sports bra or like at the gym, like wherever I am. And it wasn't about me like flaunting my body. It was about me just like owning my body and being okay with people seeing my body. So things
Yes.
like that.
Yes, and I've done that in the like not in the past, actually recently, because that was something that I would have never done prior to the baby, but I've actually done it more now,
Mm, mhm,
postpartum than prepartum. And I used to do it when I did CrossFit because it was
mhm,
just like that's something that really I like felt really confident in that area in that space, right? But then after I left CrossFit and I just really started just doing my workouts at the regular gym I was doing them, it was like, "Oh, no, what if everyone looks? What if everyone does this?" Right? So it all started coming back up to me again, again, again. But then now with my ladies in my program that I
mhm.
have, my fitness program, I'm like, "Ladies, you know what? F it." And I like take my shirt off sometimes and I'm like, "I'm gonna work out in my sports bra."
Love
And
it.
then sometimes I'm like, "Whatever," and I don't care. And of course, and I'm like, it's uncomfortable, but I'm gonna go through the uncomfortable sense because then feel
Mhm.
I know on the other side I'm gonna feel empowered.
Mhm. Yes, and then it becomes normal. It becomes normal, right? So for me, it's like, oh, I hate working out in t-shirts now. I'm like, why did I ever do this? I get sweaty really easily, and it's like sticking to me, and it's uncomfortable. I just want to be in my sports bra. It's so much better. So it becomes more comfortable once we allow it to be comfortable.
Mm.
So let's do one more, just because I'm looking at the time as well, and I want to be mindful. But let's do one more, and this one actually I'd love to dive into, which would be sadness and loneliness. So really
Mm.
looking at loneliness specifically, because this is one when I work with clients, I mean, we're always working through just many, many different emotions. But I feel like loneliness, and this is something I've worked through a lot, just consciously choosing to be single, kind of like just letting myself go through heartbreak, letting myself really feel it. I had to like just face a lot of loneliness. And I think loneliness or sadness is another emotion where we can be like, I'm a loser, I'm alone, no one
Mm.
wants me, I'm unlovable, this isn't okay, this isn't confidence, like this is unsexy, behind the scenes, lonely. I'm feeling lonely on a Friday night, but I'm like showing up confidently earlier that day. This isn't okay, but there's nothing wrong with it. And we're wired for connection and we're wired for intimacy. And facing that loneliness and just kind of being with the sadness or being with the loneliness, it liberates us of being scared of it. And it creates more wholeness within ourselves when we can be like, okay, I'm not going to again emotionally eat or drink alcohol or just watch a movie, but I'm going to just like be a little bit with this loneliness first. And then, yeah, maybe I want to watch a movie or have a glass of wine or whatever it is. That can all be healthy as long as like the intention is healthy. But I'm not going to do it because I'm lonely. I'm not going to do it to distract myself from my loneliness. So with sadness and loneliness, I love just like nature and music. but not avoiding, right? But just being like, okay, I have a playlist on Spotify called Sadness is Safe. You can go look it up. Sadness is Safe. And I just literally play that playlist and I'll just like be in it. I'll be in the sadness. I'll be in the loneliness. Sometimes I just like cry. And then sometimes it's just like, okay, I'm just going to walk around the park. I'm going to go outside. I'm going to go on a hike. I'm just going to like soak up the nature vibes and I'm not going to push this away. And I'm just going to really love myself through it. And it just like, it moves, it shifts, it releases, and then it builds that wholeness. It builds that resiliency within yourself to not be scared of it anymore. And when you're not scared of it, when it comes up, it's no big deal. And you're not making yourself a loser or alone or unloved because you're experiencing loneliness. You're literally just, I'm whole, I'm enough, I'm experiencing sadness or loneliness right now. So I'm going to literally experience it and move it.
I love that so, so much
Mm.
because that's that's something that I've really, really have been like have worked on and have been working on. It's
Mm.
something that still comes up, of course. Like there's something we gotta know, ladies, that it's not like, oh yeah, I'm gonna work through that and then we're never gonna work through that again. Like these emotions will come up, these feelings are going to come up, but you'll be able to move through them a lot faster the more you do them, right? So with that and with loneliness, like specifically for me, how it feels or how it's felt, it's like, oh, I have no one to turn to,
Mm.
or I have no one to call, or I'm feeling that, right? It's like I look one way and I look to the other way and I'm like, wow, I'm really by myself type of feeling. And if I really close my eyes, I just feel it like in my heart. I'm like,
Mm.
right? But anytime, especially now, like before, when I used to feel lonely, I would just then seek out, even if it wasn't the friendships or the relationships that I really, really, really ha- like really lift me up, right? I would just seek for any of them and I would just seek for any of them and I just would like the validation of you're here, right? So I actually was thinking about this the other day and go figure we were talking about it today. But I was thinking about how like one of my really good friends and I, we don't really speak often anymore, but
Mm.
she's still my best friend, right? But before, because I was so scared of being lonely, I would always check her messages and I'd be like, did she read them? Did she not read them? Like, oh my God, why isn't the red thing on? And it would always be because I'm like, I don't want to be by myself. I don't want to be by myself. Like, she doesn't like me anymore.
Mm.
But at the end, it wasn't that she doesn't like me. It was like, I don't want to be alone. So I wanted to be validated, like, oh, yay, I saw your message. But because I didn't want to be alone. So I actually was thinking of that and I was like, wow, yeah, like we're still best friends, but we don't have to talk every day.
Mm.
And it feels so much, it feels like so free
Mm.
for
Yeah.
me because I can have that and I'm like, yeah, I don't have to talk to you every single day and we're best friends. I don't have to speak to you all every day and we're best friends and we're still here for each other no matter what, right? But it's not like, oh, I have to constantly talk to people all the time. And that's how it was with me prior to. It was like I
Mm.
have to talk to everyone every single day, all day long. And
Mm.
even if it didn't feel good, even if I didn't feel good, it was like, do it now. And I was like, no.
Mm.
But now it feels so good not to have that.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that because I definitely have done the same things, right? It's like, well, it's a friend, but it's like, but this isn't a friend that's like really elevating you or inspiring you or expanding you or like kind of calibrating upwards with you. It's just a friend to just kind of fill in that space so that I don't feel alone and I don't feel lonely or I don't feel like scared. But then it's like, that's not serving me and that doesn't serve the other person either. But yeah, so I love you just sharing that because I think we do all do that. And then we're scared that, well, people aren't going to come into my space that are going to be, better for me and going to fill that like, or like connection desire I want. So it's like, let me just keep going back here because then I'm not alone, but it's like, but you're not really actually where you want to be either. So we got to start to pick.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. And pick you, right?
Mm,
It's like if you're starting
yes.
to pick yourself in the process.
Yes. Yes. Pick you. And then just like hold yourself. Yeah. Just kind of play the song, hold yourself, move through it. And it moves so quick. Like the loneliness, it's like maybe it's an evening and you wake up and you're like, oh, I'm fine. Like I'm totally
Yes.
okay. I'm not alone. I'm totally okay. I just experienced that. But when we resist it and fight it, or we don't lean into it, or we kind of take something else to try to mask it, that's when it stacks and compiles and it becomes something we just like won't even look at, and it holds us back. So just really, like you said, what I shared here, it's like just working with them as they come up. You are not it, experiencing, expressing. And then ultimately, once you do that, it's so much easier to choose you, to pick you, to come back to your heart, to come back to your power and move forward with that energy. Like take the step outside of your comfort zone, take the step through shame, start to connect with like other people out there who you feel like are going to be better for you, but ultimately choosing you first and just trusting the other people come your way that will allow you to connect.
I love that so much because especially with loneliness too, like we know we probably have called friends, but maybe other people that we maybe are hooking up with or something, right?
Mm,
And we're like, "Oh, hey, how you doing?" And then that was the type of person I was, but not hooking up, but in the sense of like, oh, I would have like one person, one person, one person. When I was in a period of my life where I was just single, it was like I was never able to actually be in a relationship because it was like, oh, but I get to just have all of these little people, all of it in my life. Because if I just go into one relationship, then possibly what if I feel alone and I can't message the other ones in that type of feeling? And
mm,
I'm looking back at it now that way. And it's funny enough that I'm saying that out loud because I've never said this out loud. Hmm. Look at
huh.
that, Melissa. But I just we just uncovered something.
Mm,
The all the like that it was just like all friends, like here little friends, here little friends, here little friends, or like we'll
mm,
flirt. But it was
mm,
like it was great and it was awesome because I was never by myself, so I always had someone to speak to or someone to talk to, and go figure, my life is not like that anymore because I
mm,
am and I feel the more that we are more in love with ourselves, more that we feel our feelings and we allow ourselves to be more in our heart, um, the less loneliness we feel. Like loneliness still gonna come up, but you can move through it so much quicker that you're like, oh, I know what to do. I'll have a dance, right? I know what to
mm,
do. Like I'm feeling lonely. I've had that a lot postpartum.
mm,
Postpartum, it's like you feel really alone. You feel really
mm,
alone, but what I went through when I went through postpartum, I was like, okay, I'm gonna put a song on. I'm gonna dance with the
mm,
baby. We're going to like for me, it was a lot of going for walks. That was really impactful for me to not feel by myself with him. Um, for me, it was stuff like that. Not because I had to do things, but it was me moving through the
yeah.
energy of not feeling alone. And if I'm going to cry, I'm going to cry, right?
Mhm.
But not feeling the shame of
No.
crying.
Yeah, exactly. It's moving through it like a walk. You're not ignoring it. You're not pretending it doesn't exist. You're just like, I'm going to shift this. I'm going to walk with it. I'm going to move through it. And yeah, it's like just really accessing all of the beautiful tools that help us because we're humans with emotions and we want the high vibe states and we can have those more and more frequently. Absolutely. And the low vibe emotions, the energies are always going to be things that we're working with.
Yes, and I love that you said that so much. And I just love this conversation. I love this talk.
No.
I'm so grateful for you. Oh my gosh. Thank
Mm,
you. Thank
thank
you so
you.
much, beautiful Shannon. So, with that being said, is there something that you want to tell the ladies? Anything?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. So, as you can kind of imagine, a lot, I mean, I work so much with emotions and empowerment and just lots of different elements in my work. And there's a couple of things I've got going down right now. And then I will share also about the little freebie I'm giving away inside this summit. But right now, honestly, I mean, I've got a lot of different workshops and things you can tune into as far as like experiencing me, getting my support one-on-one, which I really do suggest, like coming into a program, working with me one-to-one, because it's so powerful because I have a really, really beautiful job of just like kind of like seeing someone's soul and feeling into them and knowing how to guide them individually. That's like my strength and my superpower. But I do right now, I have one-on-one coaching spaces available. So you can definitely reach out to me about those. I do human design readings as well. So I love those because that also allows me to sit with a woman on Zoom, see you face to face, customize the reading to you. It's recorded. So those are the two biggest offerings I've got going on right now. And then I've got a whole online self-paced course called Express and Release, which is literally like an interactive workshops on feeling anger and sadness and shame and working through body image and working through feeling not enough. So there's like a little bit of everything around like this, all that we spoke about, but it's all teachable. It's a self-paced course. There's playlists, there's meditations, there's like video workshops. So that's a really awesome thing to tune into. It's called Expressive Release. All the links you can always find inside of my Instagram bio. That's where I kind of house everything right now. I'm working on my website currently, but Instagram bio, Shannon Keating, is where you can find all the links, or you can message me too. It's really easy. Just be like, hey, I heard you talk about this. Can I have the link? And I can send you the link there as well. And then what I'm also doing as far as like the freebie for the summit is I did a masterclass 1 to 2 months ago called Emotional Magnetism. And I loved this masterclass because what I did was I went through human design and I looked at your solar plexus center. And the solar plexus center is the center of like spirituality, emotions, passion. It's like the colorful emotional energy. And when we look at your solar plexus, you're either going to be open, you're going to be an empath, you're going to be defined, you're going to be feeling these like consistent waves of emotion that really don't have anything to do with your day-to-day life. So what we did in the masterclass was it was like part education on this solar plexus center and your human design chart, and like really telling you, okay, what does it mean when you're open? What does it mean when you're defined? And there's 7 different energetic gates out of that center that show us your emotional fears, your emotional waves, and your emotional gifts. So every single wave has a fear, a gift, and like literally like an emotional wave to it. So I share that inside of the masterclass. And then I also share processes, right? If you're an empath, how do you release other people's energy? That's what people are always asking about, right? It's like, it's not mine, but what do I do? Okay, I talk about what you do if you're taking on someone else's stuff and you don't know how to release it. And then if you're defined, okay, how do I work through my waves? When I know they're coming up, what are they? What can I expect? And how can I like love myself, lead myself, guide myself through them? And yeah, it's just so powerful. It's so informative. I had so much fun listening, and I have like a whole recording on it. So that's what I'm giving away to one beautiful woman.
Yes, that's so amazing, ladies. So don't forget what you're going to do, what you have to do in order to enter. So remember, tag us on Instagram or on Facebook, right? Melissa Mejia, Shannon Keating,
Mm-hmm.
at I Am Strong with Melissa, at I am, sorry, at Shannon Keating, at Shannon Keating, and you will find her as well. You will also find her in my stories. I posted as
Mm-hmm.
well, like her handle, so you'll also see that. And what wowed you from today? Also share that with us. That would be so amazing. And tag both of us so we can both see it and celebrate you, because
Mm-hmm.
Shannon just brought so much magic and so much energy. Like it's such feel good energy. And thank you so much for talking about the heavy topics like fear, like shame, loneliness, right? Guilt. And you really brought a positive intake or positive you out intake and output. Like it was like input and output
Mm-hmm.
of like a positive energy towards that, instead of feeling down for ourselves or feeling like again feeling ashamed for myself for even saying the things that I've said out loud. You created that space for us. And thank you so much. And that means so much.
Thank you, Melissa. Thank you. I love chatting with you. Such a
Me
good vibe.
too. Me too. Thank you so much, ladies, for being here live with us. And of course, I will see you later on with Victoria Welch at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And please follow Shannon. Please become friends
Mm-hmm.
with her as well on Facebook. She has amazing content on Instagram and Facebook, but primarily Instagram is the place to be with Shannon.
Yes.
Thank you
Thank
so much.
you. Thank you. Bye.
Yay!